If you happen to follow me on Instagram, I am trying. I want people to have perspective. I feel like I'm an old, I believe in certain things that are kind of weird. Like old soul is interesting to me. I was very intrigued. Maybe it's because I lost 3 of my 4 grandparents before I got to know them. But as a kid, when grandparents would visit the playground, I would always run and like sit with them for like an hour and be like, where were you when JFK got shot? I loved history. That was the one class I could get, and a lot of my marketing is actually, I think a lot of what I'm doing now is predicated on what TV did in the 50s and 60s. Like when new mediums create, what do you do, right? Yeah. So history always kind of came to me, and I don't know how to help people there's so much that DNA does. I don't care because for some reason I can feel things. I can feel being 90, laying there not being well, having only a little time left, and disproportionately not caring about what Tommy Johnson said about me in 3rd grade or what article was, I don't know, my family, maybe it's an Eastern European immigrant family, we were really, I was propaganda that it was health, health was so that's how I kind of live. For me, it's as long as 9 people woke up this morning good, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that everything else feels controllable. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a logical conversation. It's does it why are you upset? This is why most people don't post on social media or they PR themselves on social. They're not capable of dealing with judgment. And I'm like, are you really pissed that Ricky Pants 44 said you're ugly? Yeah. Yeah. And then it's empathy. I mean this one, and this is something I wish was more in the conversation in our society. If somebody has the time to watch your video or look at your picture and then take the time to leave a comment that you look fat or you're ugly or you're wrong or you're stupid or I'm empathetic that their life is horrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Seriously, if you're a distributor of hate, you fucking lost. I hate having a public life because I'm devastated when somebody leaves a comment, that I'm a charlatan or whatever they may say, snake oil salesman, or, growing up it's crazy for me to be judged in the marketing Madison Avenue world as full of shit, watching these big companies sell garbage to clients, So I think a lot about this. I think that I had so much adversity as a child, right? When you're 6 and you're walking 4 miles to Kmart because you don't have a car and your mother grew up in Russia and everyone walked and that just seemed normal, it was just my normal, the answer is yes. I mean, if I could wish anything, I would wish the balance of self-awareness, self-esteem, and empathy. A lot of what drives me is empathy. I'm not upset at people that judge me. I wasn't mad at the teachers. Their framework was, did I read Catcher in the Rye and know what to write in this test? I didn't read it, so I was in trouble, and so it's really pulling from opposite directions. It's disproportionate confidence and being quiet within my head, yet being unbelievably empathetic to why the machine does what it does. Yeah. And so, but yes, I mean, I have a disproportionately happy life because I don't like to be judged. I don't want to be razzed, but ultimately I don't give a shit. Yeah.
No, I love that.
And I put myself in a position not to. It's not as easy when you work within a company when your boss's boss has an opinion of you, that matters.
Exactly.
I just decided school, I don't know why I understood, it's so funny, so much of what I talk about is the world came to me because I never went to the world, right? Entrepreneurship wasn't cool. The world came to me. I stayed the course of being an entrepreneur. I was judged for working my dad's liquor store as a 26-year-old while my friends went to Wall Street and got a BMW. I just stayed the course, and then all of a sudden you wake up and the world comes to you. Judgment is very interesting to me. I've come to realize in the last 3 years that it is judgment that is stopping 90% of this audience. Especially when you go into different subcultures, it is scary to me how many of you are not doing things because you're worried about what your parents would think. You're worried about disappointing your parents, you're worried about the leverage your parents have. And that is unbelievably true in every culture, but obviously quite true in this culture. Judgment is the number one thing that I need to break you out of for you to even begin to make content on social networks. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be right. You need to stay in your lane. You need to talk about what you know. You need to talk about what you're passionate about. You gotta talk about either what you like or what you know. But you can't worry about the comments. Are you really gonna live your life based on somebody anonymous saying that you're ugly or not smart? Yet almost everybody does. The amount of people that refuse to post or stopped posting because of a negative comment is remarkable, or because of a snarky comment by their brother or best friend or girlfriend. It's remarkable to me how grateful I am, how thankful I am that I was parented in a way that built self-esteem, confidence. And I'm grateful and also sad by how many aren't. And the only way I know how to break it is to push positivity and optimism and practical positivity into the ecosystem. If you're sitting in this audience today and you're not happy, and I mean this, like really ask yourself, are you happy? It's really been interesting to me to find something that works, which is you have to change who you're listening to. If you're sitting in this audience today and you're not happy, you have to change who you're listening to. It's scary to me that 85% of the people that are here today are here for one reason. They're looking for something because most likely a parent put them in a position that hasn't allowed them to feel fully comfortable.
One of the challenges that I face all the time with some of these students is anxiety, and how I can help them see that they are, they can do more than they think and that they're stronger than they know. How would you articulate or explain to them?
You know how I do it. I'm doing it. I put pressure on the true answers. Insecurity is the seed that creates all these issues.
Absolutely.
And so I'm trying to figure out why they didn't build self-esteem, who didn't build self-esteem. And the reason I bring up mom is like, Jesus, it's such a big percentage of it. Mom or dad is like 80% of it. It's just, I do this a lot. I'm fascinated. Listen, my dad, I don't talk a lot about this. That's what happened to my dad. My dad, I'm so impressed by him. The way my grandmother parented my dad is unacceptable. That's the only word I can think of. So I'm fascinated by it because I had the reverse. I'm so perfectly parented by my mother, I'm unstoppable. I feel guilty that I'm so emotionally grounded and strong. That's why I'm giving it to you. What do you think's happening up here? I feel guilty that I have it so good mentally. There's nothing anybody can do to my mental state. It's insane. I am so weird, guys. Nothing hits, it's like I'm numb. And so I go right to the core. I do it when I see it sometimes. I'm like, hey, you are unbelievable and you think you're shit. That's bad. We need to talk about this. Tell me everything about your childhood. And I just go there and sometimes you get a little break sometimes, but what's really fun is they start thinking about it and it changes behavior. I get an email every day that says that they disconnected from somebody in their inner circle, and for the last 6 months, they're breathing for the first time in their lives. It is not easy to break up with your brother. It is not easy to break up with your spouse. It is not easy to break up with your father, but that's actually the binary move if they're the poison of your life. So, A, if that's your reality, you need to think, because guess what? You have one life. And you don't want to be 73 when your parent passes away and finally start breathing. B, if that is not your life, you need to drive home right now and kiss your parents in the face. I have a team that works for me. It's impossible to be on that team for any more than a minute if you're not a positive person. So, whether it's an admin or a chief of staff or the people that help me build out my content, all the leaders my direct reports, the C-suite, I definitely don't hold them to the same level of positivity because they have to reverse engineer certain things and have some empathy to what their day-to-day is. But yeah, what I consume, I really, really, really think that positivity is a strategy. And I think a lot of people think positivity is delusion. I think people think keeping it real is like important. And every time I hear that, I'm like keeping it real cynical and negative. You know, I think I'm the least delusional person of all time because I've had to run a business every day of my life. I've never raised capital, and I've made payroll every week in my entire 22 years. So I've run actual businesses. All my startup friends who lose $2 million a month and think they're running a business, I laugh until the economy collapses and then you're out of business, right? So I keep it outrageously. How many people here are immigrants or children of immigrants? We keep it practical. So I'm very practical, but I think you're able to look at a situation and decide if you're gonna fold like a cheap chair or start working on a solution. I keep things positive.